When the day arrived, I wore a soft blush gown. Nothing too bold, nothing too loud. Understated elegance. The kind of look you can't hate, only envy. I arrived fashionably late, of course, just after the ceremony was supposed to begin. Guests turned as I walked in. I watched their confusion turn to recognition, and then to delight. They greeted me like a bride. Warm hugs, surprised smiles, whispers of, "We thought it was your wedding day." Emily stood near the arbor, veil in place, bouquet trembling ever so slightly in her grip. Daniel turned to look too, and that's when the murmurs started. Wait, isn't that her dress? Didn't she pick those flowers? Why is she here? Because Emily had forgotten the most important detail of all. People remember who plans the wedding, not who hijacks it. I smiled, small, serene, and sat in the front row. By the time the officiant stumbled through the opening lines, the mood had soured. Guests were exchanging looks. A few were whispering. Emily's parents looked mortified. Daniel, confused, maybe a little guilty. Then came the vows. Emily's voice wavered. She stumbled over Daniel's name. A bead of sweat rolled down his temple. The silence between their lines stretched too long. And then it happened. A loud, unmistakable ringtone. One of the groomsmen hadn't turned off his phone. He scrambled to silence it, but not before the screen lit up, big and bold, with a message that echoed through the entire venue. "Are you sure about this? Thought you said she wasn't the one?" Gasps, a sharp inhale from Emily. Daniel's face drained of color. I didn't move. I didn't gloat. I simply tilted my head and smiled again. The morning of June 14th was bright and warm, the kind of perfect summer day brides dream of. Emily must have felt untouchable as she sat in the bridal suite, surrounded by hairdressers and makeup artists, soaking in what she believed was her victory. She had taken everything from me, my wedding date, my venue, even my fiancé, months of my planning, my dreams, and my vision, snatched and stitched into her fantasy. But what Emily never understood was that this day was never hers to steal. It had always been mine, and now it was time for the final act. I arrived early, stepping out of my car just as the first guests began trickling in. The estate was breathtaking, exactly how I had imagined it when I booked it nearly a year ago. The floral arch, the crisp white chairs, the candle-lit reception. Hall, every detail had been my choice. Emily had kept it all, except for the one thing she truly should have changed. One by one, the guests arrived. My friends, my family, people who had stood by me for years. I watched their faces shift as they glanced at the wedding program, read the names printed in gold, and began to whisper. Wasn't this supposed to be her wedding? They took her date and her venue. The murmur spread like wildfire. Then Daniel's parents arrived. His mother, Linda, had never hidden her disapproval of Emily. She had always adored me, always said I was the one who grounded Daniel, the woman he needed. As soon as she saw me standing there, calm and composed, something in her expression changed. "Sweetheart," she said, taking my hands, "what are you doing here?" I tilted my head slightly, smiling. "I was invited." Her eyes narrowed. Then she turned toward the check-in table, her voice rising through the courtyard. "Where is my son?" A hush fell over the guests. It had begun. Inside, Emily was sipping champagne, unaware of the shift outside. Her bridesmaids, or what remained of them, hovered awkwardly. Some had already texted me apologies. I didn't need their loyalty. I had something stronger. Patience. Then Emily noticed the buzz of her phone. "Hannah, did you know 90% of your guests are her family and friends?" "Megan, you invited Daniel's parents, right? They look furious." "Daniel, we need to talk." Now! Emily's champagne flute trembled in her hand, the liquid sloshing over her silk robe. "What the hell?" she muttered. Outside, Daniel stood by the altar, pacing. He had expected joy, celebration. Instead, he found silence and stares. His best man pulled him aside. "Dude," Matt whispered, "did you even look at the guest list? This isn't a wedding. It's an execution." Daniel frowned. "What are you talking about?" Matt handed him the list. As Daniel scanned it, realization hit, then horror. These are all her people. Emily had been so obsessed with stealing my wedding, she never made it her own. She had walked straight into my world, my circle, my legacy. Then Daniel saw me, elegant, poised, standing at the back. He swallowed hard. "She came," he whispered. "She RSVP'd," Matt said. Emily never thought to question it. Daniel felt the walls closing in. Had this been a mistake? He turned and stormed into the bridal suite, not bothering to knock. Emily turned, startled. "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to see me before—" "Did you even look at the guest list?" he snapped, shoving the paper into her hands. "What? They're here for her, Emily, not us." She scanned the names. Her fingers tightened. Her skin went pale. She hadn't realized it until now. But she had stolen my audience, too. Desperation flashed in her eyes. "Who cares?" she said with a shaky laugh. "It's still our wedding. They'll celebrate us." But Daniel didn't look convinced, because now he saw it too. The stolen venue, the ghost of a plan never hers, the fiancé trapped in someone else's story. He took a step back. "I need a minute." Emily reached for him, but he was already gone. And in the silence he left behind, Emily finally realized she might be the one wearing the dress, but I was the one in control. She had stolen everything, my wedding, my fiancé, my venue. Every detail I'd spent months planning was now hers. But what she didn't understand was that this day was never hers to take. It was mine from the start, and now it was time for the final act. I arrived early, stepping from my car just as the first guests began trickling in. I took in the estate, breathtaking, exactly as I'd envisioned when I booked it nearly a year ago. The floral arch, the elegant white chairs, the candlelit reception hall. Every single detail remained, untouched by her hand, except one, the guest list. I watched familiar faces approach the check-in table. Friends I'd grown up with, family who had held me through heartbreak. Their eyes flicked down to the wedding program, Emily and Daniel, etched in gold. The whispers started almost instantly. Wasn't this supposed to be her wedding? They stole the venue, even the date. A murmur swept through the courtyard, quick and contagious. Then Daniel's parents arrived. His mother, Linda, who had never been shy about her feelings, spotted me. Her expression froze. She adored me once, always said I was exactly what Daniel needed, level-headed, kind, resilient. "Sweetheart," she said, taking my hands. "What are you doing here?" I smiled softly. "I was invited." Her lips parted in shock. Then, her gaze sharpened. She turned toward the check-in table, voice rising just enough to pierce the growing tension. "Where is my son?" Silence fell like a curtain. Inside, in the bridal suite, Emily sipped champagne, flanked by bridesmaids. Well, the few who hadn't already texted me quiet apologies, but I didn't need their loyalty. I had time. Emily checked her phone, and finally, reality started sinking in. "Hannah, did you know 90% of your guests are her family and friends?" "Megan, you invited Daniel's parents, right? They don't look happy." "Daniel, we need to talk. Now." Her hand trembled. The champagne flute slipped, spilling onto her silk robe. "What the hell?" Outside, Daniel paced near the altar, fingers raking through his hair. He had expected celebration. Instead, he was met with side eyes, stiff nods, and whispers. His best man, Matt, pulled him aside. "Dude," Matt whispered, shoving a guest list into his hands, "did you even look at this?" Daniel scanned the names. Recognition hit, slow, then brutal. These are her people. Emily had been so focused on stealing my day that she hadn't bothered to make it hers. She had stepped into my circle, my world, my legacy, and now she was unraveling. Daniel turned, eyes locking with mine from across the courtyard. I stood there, serene in an elegant dress, the storm's calm eye. His breath caught. "She came," he murmured. "She RSVP'd," Matt said. Emily never thought to ask why. Suddenly suffocated, Daniel stormed toward the bridal suite. Inside, Emily spun, furious. "You're not supposed to see me before the—" "Did you even look at the guest list?" he snapped, cutting her off. Her bravado faltered. "What?" He stared at her, the weight of realization pressing down. "You didn't plan this? Wedding, you hijacked it, and you didn't even notice it was never yours to begin with." What he shoved the paper into 1712 her hands there Emily hadn't even noticed the time. At 5:15, she was too busy skimming through the names, fingers tightening around the edge of the program. By 5:18, her face had drained of color. She had been so consumed with stealing my wedding that she didn't realize she'd stolen my audience, too. Panic flickered across her perfectly made-up face. This wasn't her moment. It was mine. She forced a laugh. "Who cares? It's still our wedding. They'll celebrate for us." But Daniel didn't laugh. He didn't even smile. Because now, he saw it too. The stolen wedding, the forced engagement, the guests who were never really their guests. It all hit him at once. He had been a pawn in her game. Emily reached for him. He stepped back. "I need a minute," he muttered. She stood frozen, speechless, as he walked out. And in the thick silence that followed, Emily finally realized she might be the one in the dress, but I was the one in control. As the ceremony time approached, Emily stood at the grand estate doors, bouquet clutched too tightly. Guests whispered, exchanging wary glances. Daniel hadn't returned. Her perfect day was unraveling before it even began. And I, sipping my champagne, watching it all unfold, remembered her message from weeks ago. "You'll never outshine me." "Oh, Emily, I never needed to. I just had to let you fall into your own trap." The minutes ticked by, slow and suffocating. Guests shuffled awkwardly, whispers growing louder. The ceremony was already 20 minutes late. There was no groom at the altar, no music, no bride making her grand entrance. Just Emily, still frozen by the door, her knuckles white against the stems of her bouquet. Daniel wasn't coming back. Her picture-perfect stolen wedding was slipping, away before her eyes. Lauren, her maid of honor, approached hesitantly. "Emily, maybe we should—" "No," Emily snapped, voice sharp and panicked. "He's just nervous. He'll be back." Lauren bit her lip. "It's been almost half an hour." Emily turned away, breath uneven. "He'll come." But even she didn't sound convinced. The guests knew. Daniel's mother knew. I knew. And now, finally, Daniel knew. Outside, Daniel paced near the estate's fountain, jacket unbuttoned, tie loose, hair tousled by frustration. His father stood beside him, arms crossed. "This is a disaster," Daniel muttered. "No, son," his father said quietly. "This is a lesson." Daniel frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" His father's voice was steady. "You left a strong, intelligent woman for a childish game of one-upmanship, and now you're seeing what the rest of us saw months ago." Daniel looked away, jaw clenched. I just, I don't look around, his father cut in. Is anyone here actually happy for you? Or are they all just waiting for the moment it falls apart? Daniel didn't answer. He didn't have to. Inside, Emily's world finally shattered. It started with Daniel's aunt and uncle quietly standing and leaving their seats. Then a few more followed. By the time Daniel's mother stood, turned to her husband, and said loudly, "There's no wedding happening today," it was over. Like a domino effect, the guests began to leave, one by one, whispering, disappointed, some smug. Emily stood motionless, stunned, her big day, her perfect revenge, gone. She snapped. The bouquet hit the floor. She stormed through the estate, heels clicking hard against polished floors. She'd find him. She'd fix this. She found him by the fountain, still with his father, still calm, still done. "What the hell are you doing?" she screamed. "Get inside!" Daniel turned. His face was unreadable. Emily's voice broke. "Daniel, I know this is overwhelming, but—" "No," he said simply. Her face twisted. "You don't mean that." He took off the ring, held it out. "I do." And just like that, it was over. She stared at the engagement ring in his open palm as if it couldn't be real. But it was. And I saw it all coming. She built a plan to win. But this wasn't a game. And she wasn't the only player. Without another word, Daniel dropped the ring into the fountain. He turned, walked away. His family followed, his groomsmen followed, and finally the last. Few guests walked out, leaving Emily alone. Alone in her stolen dress, at her stolen wedding, surrounded by the wreckage of her own making. And me? I simply watched. Because the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's letting people destroy themselves. I walked away from the Magnolia estate that evening with something far more valuable than vengeance. Peace. Emily had tried to outshine me, tried to take everything. But in the end, she had nothing. Because you can't steal what was never truly yours. And as for me, I didn't lose anything. I let go of something that was never worth keeping. It's been a year since the wedding that never happened. A lot has changed. Emily vanished from our social circles almost overnight. The woman who once had it all became the woman no one wanted to be seen with. She tried to spin the story, said Daniel got cold feet, said the pressure was too much. But people knew the truth. They saw the guest list. They saw the empty chairs. They saw her lose control in real time. And more importantly, they saw me walk away with my dignity intact. Daniel messaged me months later. Late night, regret dripping between the lines. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just need you to know you were right." I smiled. Then I deleted it. Because closure doesn't come from apologies. It comes from knowing you never needed one. Emily tried to rebuild. She started dating again. This time, a wealthy older man, probably hoping to buy the security she couldn't steal. It didn't last, because people like Emily always chase something they can't catch. No amount of manipulation can make someone love you. No venue, no dress, no fiancé can change the truth. You can't force what isn't meant for you. For a moment, she had everything. Now, she has nothing. Looking back, I have no regrets. I never had to scream, never had to fight, never stooped to her level. I stayed quiet, and I let her destroy herself. Because the best revenge isn't ruining someone's life. It's making sure they never had the power to ruin yours. And me? I walked away with everything I needed, my peace, my dignity, and a life far better than the one I left behind. Because while Emily is still chasing a fantasy, I'm out here living my reality. And trust me, it's better than any stolen wedding.